How breathwork healed my lifelong asthma. Hi, I'm Nick, former medical doctor turned soul doctor, and I healed from lifelong asthma and suicidal depression. And today I want to go into a deep dive on how breathwork healed my lifelong asthma, as today is my final live session with Bob Frizzell, a renowned author and creator of Breath Alchemy. I have done 11 sessions so far. This is going to be my 12th one. And it's a little scary to end it. I recognize I've learned a lot. Much has changed. Much hasn't changed, it feels like sometimes. And I want to do this, dive into this. Know that if you want an experiential process, I'd recommend joining our Ohana Breath. Go to ohanasage.com. Find someone local that resonates with you. Bob Frizzell, read his books, write info at Bob Frizzell. Breath Wave, where I initially learned with Robin Clements, is wonderful as well. And Wim Hof breathing as well. I also have been following Erwin LaCour, who does the Breath Hold Mastery. I've also followed before Soma Breath and Awaken Breath and Dan Brule. And so there's so many teachers I've also read. There's a Breath Bible. There's Breathe by James Nestor. There's free diving. There's so many resources out there. So I'm not here just to list them all, but I wanted to highlight that it's not about me. Rather, what is it that you are drawn to? And so many of us would benefit from coming back to our breath. One of the keys is that, you can work out and improve your strength, but if you actually even start just practicing breath holds, breathing properly, you can double, triple, quadruple your breath hold within a short amount of time. I just finished doing a breath hold of over 4 minutes, which is huge for me. When I was at the height of my illness, when I was 30, I had a blood pressure of 150 over 110. I weighed 100 pounds. I'm about 5'5.5". I was sickly looking. I was deathly looking. I felt like I was going to die. I had this almost image that you could keep doing this doctor stuff, but you'll be dead by 45, and I'm 45 right now. I was single. I was lonely. I was depressed. I was on 5 medications a day for my asthma. I had antibiotic courses twice a year at least. I had over the last decade before that probably a few courses of oral steroids even probably. I had every single shot known to man, I think, at that point in time. I was stuck in a system. I had lots of processed food, terrible meat, didn't know how to take care of myself. I wouldn't eat for like 30 hours at a time, not because I was fasting, but because I put everything else first, and it was wreaking havoc on my body, doing night shifts, everything else like that. But even in spite of all that, the resilience of the body, I was climbing, rock climbing, I was stunting still. I was having a lot of fun amongst all that. So it's a reminder that that was all there. Now, how breathwork healed my lifelong asthma. The catalyst for this was Dr. Gabor Mate first, and When the Body Says No, the Hidden Cost of Stress, that there was even a possibility of healing. I was doing life coaching at the time with accomplishment coaching, and then working through my black and white world, being able to see that there's more shades of the rainbow. And I had my first ceremonial experience with grandmother ayahuasca, and the healer was like, you could heal from this. And doing the dieta, which is a special clean diet, fantastic for clearing things out, but not easy when you're so used to eating everything that you think you can here and all the processed foods. And then she said, if you can stop taking the medications 3 days before. And I was like, that's impossible. I'll do 1 day before. And then in the ceremony itself, there was so much tobacco, mupacho. This is like the traditional South American tobacco, not the adulterated North American stuff. That I thought I was going to die. I didn't even be by the door, but I didn't. And then I let 1 day turn into 2, turn into 3, and that has been in 2018. And now it's 2026, so 8 years. And I've not had to be on anything regular more than once probably. I took a puffer, I think, a few years ago just to try it out again. Partly as well to appease my dad because I was going through an illness, and he was like, oh, but I've taken 0 antibiotics. I've gotten 0 refills on any prescriptions. It's been fantastic. And I keep some of the old ones around just in case. You never know if there's going to be some kind of emergency thing that happens. I'm not opposed to Western medicine. It has allowed me to thrive until that point in time that I needed. But I was always the canary in the coal mine, the one that would get sick first, the one that, oh, if anyone's getting sick, it's him. Don't worry about it. And so surviving COVID and everything else was just a miracle in a way. Um, and so I'd always got my flu shots before then as well, and I haven't gotten any since. Um, and so then in 2020, I don't know if I'd already received some Wim Hof before that, but really I joined a brotherhood of men called Samurai Brotherhood. And they did Wim Hof breathing at the beginning of every session. And it was so cool just to change the state with that. And then we did a conscious connected breath, kind of like breath wave. It wasn't truly that, but I was like, oh wow, I felt almost a presence of my brother who died at 2 months of age. And I was like, there's something magical about this. And then I went for training myself with Robin Clements, level 1, level 2, breath wave in Salt Spring Island in 2020, just before pandemic really hit, before I knew that we had a child on our way. And it was transformative, both being through it, experiencing it, and then from there, guiding it in the beginning of medicine ceremonies with Intronaut, Yvonne and Lanarvados, having guided to breathwork, and just being with the weird dichotomy of having been such a weak lung person and now leading breath. And I did the presence process. There's a book on breathing daily twice a day for I think 10 weeks, and I did it twice. And it helped me do daily breath works. And that's the thing. It's actually stepping into the thing and really enjoying it. And that's how I know practice is meant for me, is when I really enjoy it. There's an infinite number of healing practices out there. I think they all actually play a role now. Just some of them really align with me at certain times and some of them don't. I used to make fun of so many, including breathwork. My first coaching client told me he paid for a breathwork session. I was like, oh wow, you just wasted your money. Wow, how ridiculous is that, getting someone to breathe with you. And now I recognize that I love my own breaths, and I especially love being in a held container by someone who has their own, I'll say it this way, their shit together for at least that time they're holding me. And it's so beautiful that there's been experiences, and I'll joke about it with Robin Clements, there's the Jesus Christ. There was another breath that had like this kind of moving sound, and it was wonderful, and it was allowing catharsis out. Like the initial ones are screaming, crying, everything else like that. And now with Bob Frizzell, the Breath Alchemy, it's all about gentleness, smoothness, willingness is enough, integration is there, harmonizing, whatever you resist persists. It's just a feeling to heal. It's not trying to make a story out of all. It's a circular breath, but it's complete relaxation, but it's a smooth relaxation. It's a smooth descent. It's not trying to push force. It's trying to find mastery in the rhythm itself, while also recognizing the mastery of the rhythm isn't critical for each session. And each session you can get yourself to a 10 out of 10 because you've realized I've let go of another layer. And it's been profound. And the live sessions, when I took breaks because I came back from Hawaii and all this stuff and I got sick, every time I lost sight and the breath became a little more ragged, forced, mechanical, controlled. And a big part of it was, I realized, and this is all just a story, is I was getting back into performative mode, trying to do this for someone else, rather than say, can I just be with it, do it the way I want, with guidance, with love. And now, the greatest gift he's given me actually over the last few months is that I've been doing the breath regularly. I've been doing at least one breath a day. I'm now actually stepping into some breath hold work sometime as well, the Erwin the Core breath hold mastery stuff, and I'm gonna probably take his course in the near future. And reconnecting with my teachers, I reconnect with Robin Clements and have had him lead a few sessions, and noticing what's shifting in between. Like none of the ceremonies, or sorry, the sessions themselves have felt like they were ground shaking, but what has shifted is the ability to look at, okay, health, wealth, family, freedom are the 4 pillars this year. How am I moving into it? How am I stepping into each illness episode? How am I stepping into the discomfort, the fights with my beloved? How am I stepping into my anger? How am I stepping into my avoidance? How is that shifting into rediscovering, redefining my entire business? How am I letting go of trying to produce a certain result? How am I letting go of shame? How am I noticing the parts that are there? The awareness is enough to become really aware, oh man, I have a lot of judgments. I see myself in comparison mode still, above or below or trying to be equal, that even when I'm trying to create allies now instead of mentors and teachers, it's just a little lopsided, that there are people that I don't want to be around, that there's so many different layers, and just being able to be with it right now instead of saying I should be above this. And as I'm going through it, every time I go through an illness now, rather than being like, I should be well enough not to be ill, it's like, okay, everyone is an opportunity. and stepping into wisdom. Wisdom is the instantaneous recognition that crisis is a blessing. Quote from Dr. John Demartini. And I really appreciate that, because the quicker I can get to that point, the more fun I can have with life, because it's being able to see, like, some of my misery has been accentuated over the past 4 months. And I live a very privileged life. I know that comparatively, compared to when I was younger, all this stuff. I have all this time in the morning, usually at least a few hours of self-practice. I wake up before the sunrise with no alarm. I do have my cat Bao Bao now here, who's waking me up as well, but I wake up with no alarm, and I have the pleasure of being with sunrise and the light. I have a fire in front of me right now. I have the pleasure of having the time to do a meditation and an enema of coffee and urine every morning. I have the pleasure of doing a breath. I have the pleasure now of creating a relationship with Hape that's even more beautiful, and especially with a Bobinsana one. And in all of this, I realize in this age of AI, of rapid change, of magnetic declination, the magnetic pole shifting, the age of Bitcoin, the age of fiat currency changing, the age of people waking up, that I am learning so much, so quickly about so many things, that I am following my highest excitements. I was listening to someone talk about Conversations with God, where most people over the age of like 30 don't even read a book. I'm like, I go through books a week, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm not trying to make notes, record everything, because there are some people who are great at that, categorizing, structuring. And for me, it's like, how do I just let everything in? And when the opportunity presents itself, I'm able to respond, because there's so many little hidden gems in there. There's so many things that have been coming up. And I'll be talking more about building a citadel and other things like that. But I wanted to share today that it's an ongoing process. Years ago, I like probably about 2 or 3 years after this 2018 experience, I had not had a single lung infection. I thought, I am immune. I'm never going to get sick again. That was my ego. And then realizing now, every time I get sick, it's such a gift. What have I been ignoring? It's almost like a man period, right? When we ignore it enough, we don't have the cyclical nature, we don't get rid of stuff. And what if this is just a deuterium buildup that I need to let go of? What if it's just the stuff that I've been holding on to that I'm letting go of? And often near the end of my illness, I get a little sad when I can't cough up the phlegm as easily, because I'm like, oh, it's getting trapped in there again. And I know even that's a story. And towards the end, when I'm feeling better, I usually have kind of junk cheat days. That was last night. I had chips. I had a lot of pepperoni sticks that were fried up. I had a lot of stuff that my body did not need, to the extent that I had it for sure. And so when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm burning a little bit. I feel off. And so that enema in the morning, the breath, the coughing, the sunrise, oh, all of it cleared up so much. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm re-listening to Bob Frizzell's Nothing in This Book is True, but it's exactly the way it is, because I'm preparing for my last call today. I'm preparing for my breath. And part of it, it's the story would be back there, and it is true, is preparing to do better, to have me say, wow, you did a great job. Also, though, it's preparing because I'm like, you know, if fucking practice makes perfect, then I'm going to practice more. And I'm going to step into loving the practice. I'm going to step into practice in the way of like, it's okay to fail. And I'm going to step into practice going, you know what, how do I actually notice, keep building up the awareness. And the awareness in detail of things, wonderful. And the awareness isn't the end result. That isn't the goal post. I don't actually know what the goalposts are. I don't actually know what the real game I'm playing is, but I keep redefining the game itself that I'm playing. I think that's a big part of it too. Noticing the games that have gotten kind of stagnant in a way, the rules have gotten kind of stagnant as well. And it's funny that we think the rules are supposed to stay the same. The rules change, things evolve, joy evolves, life evolves. But this evolution sometimes is not always the evolution we think it to be. And I'm going to go off on little tangents right now. It's like we've got an artificial turf field next to us. And it's amazing that it's so consistent. And my son loves it because he thinks it's great, but he's not seeing the part where there's actually more injuries because we can't actually replicate Mother Nature. All the toxic chemicals from all the rubber, all the different ways where the heat isn't distributed properly. There's not enough life, livingness in it. You're not grounded in the earth while you're there. There's so much there. And with the breath, and being able to breathe again, it's like the thing that I need to do the most and consciously. And if there's nothing else that I want to improve, I want to improve the breath. And all of this goes towards the whole idea of breaking the death habit. That's a Jim, I can't remember his name now, Leonard Orr book. And I think there's a piece that I've at least been so indoctrinated to think, oh my God, it's just going to go downhill. And I've been given evidence that it isn't always downhill. When I was 30, I was way sicker than I am now. I feel more vibrant every day. But instead of being like, I'm more vibrant and I've made it, it's just noticing both loving where I'm at and noticing where I am not. Oh man, there's still so many days I'm just dragging myself. As my beloved says, there's some kind of depression about you still. And at first I was pushing back, going angry, going, why are you throwing this label on me? And then realizing she's just pointing out what she's observing. Doesn't make it true. Now when I look at it, I see it too. What's going on? Okay, I'm doing a lot of self-work. Now it's time to get out of the shell again and deliver more, which is why in May we're going to be doing so much more in-person work again. Stepping into that because it's that push and flow. It's just like the breath. It's in, it's out. It's the relaxation, it's the power, the force, bringing in the prana, bringing in the chi, sharing it, moving the energy collectively. And what beauty is there in a collective breath as well? That collective breath, what we're doing together, how much more moves, how we're tuned in, tapped in, how we could, without the guidance and a strong container and a safe container, feel like, oh, everyone else's stuff is getting on me, as opposed to everything else's stuff is helping me to bring to the surface the things that want to be brought to the surface. Sometimes it can be really triggering. And I'm really grateful for this breath alchemy, because my goal, if there is a goal, is no longer how do I get more people to catharsis to be able to thank me for what's happened. Rather, how do I create a space so that people get to heal in the way that serves them best right now? And often that is not a big explosive outer expression, even though that's welcomed if that is what is needed this time. Rather, what is the inner expression, the inner knowing that's going to come out of it that can keep resonating and lasting? I had someone tell me recently their breath, they had lasting effects for months afterwards, just one group breath. And I was so grateful for that reminder. I'm always grateful for the reminders that come back, because it helps to reinforce, okay, keep going along the path. Because comparatively, I always look at, oh, this person knows more, this person can do more, this person's more scientific, this person is more clear, this person ... Rather than, I am who I am, I get to impact who I impact, and what a gift that is. I'm not here for everyone, I'm not supposed to be, I'm not trying to please everyone. Even the whole idea now I'm learning about this guy named Thomas Bone, who invented the bone therapy. He never called it that, but the bone therapy named after him. One of his greatest gifts was he didn't have the attachment someone had to leave feeling better than when they came. And I recently had someone who came through breath and they're like feeling way worse afterwards, so much more pain, I felt so bad, what did I do wrong? And then I realized, can I let go of that attachment to needing them to thank me for taking away pain? Because part of it is when you become aware of what's been going on for so long, you let it go of the suppression. Oh, so much more comes up. So much more can come up in terms of shame and guilt too. And how do I trust that they're going to find the place of integrating? Part of it is, just like I did at the beginning, sharing of, there's so many resources out there, there's so many teachers out there, there's so many guides out there. I've gotten the privilege of breathing with Aubrey Marcus, Caitlin Howe, Kyle Kingsbury, Eric Godsey at Fit for Service in 2023 for a year, and then actually being able to step into the facilitation role there too, to learn from there, to see from there, and then work with Blue and work with Matthias DeStefano and Robert Grant and Peter Crone and Dr. Kelly Brogan, and be like, oh my God, there's so many amazing teachers, there's so many amazing guides that are stepping into living their lives in their way. And in every one of them now, I'm more able to see the place. I'm like, oh, I don't resonate with that, I don't agree with that. And I know so far it's still been coming from a place of judgment, but closer and closer I'm getting to just noticing and awareness, because then I no longer make someone a hero. I need to aspire to be exactly like them. Rather, what are the parts that I want to practice integrating to make me the more whole version of me that wants to be alive in this lifetime? And part of my practice is I want to step into the timeline where I'm remembering lifetimes more clearly, so that I can continue the process, so I can actually play with things differently. I mean, this whole birth and death cycle right now, coming in going, I don't remember anything. I think part of that is the forgetting that we're just here to remember who we are. It's not learning in the way of teaching, imparting, forcing, willpower, all that stuff. All that is helpful when we use those as tools, but we think that's the only thing. And part of it is the limited belief. Oh, this is impossible. This gift is impossible. This is scary. Something's out there to hurt me, to harm me. Yes, there's the places of safety. How do I keep my little one from killing himself because he doesn't know any better? But in all the other ways, do I actually know what's better for him? Not really. What is he trying to teach me? Oh, he eats very differently every day. Some days he totally binges on one thing, so totally binges something else. How do I listen to my own body and notice when I'm trying to override myself? Oh, today's gonna be a clean, easy day. Today's gonna be a fasting day. Perhaps today, even today is the start of the fasting. And then there's the phone fasting, the internet fasting, the listening fasting. There's so many different fasts that we have lost sight of. And especially as men, because if we did actually used to go hunting on hunting journeys, they were journeys where we didn't know if we were going to come back. We listened to the land. We stepped away from society. We stepped away from the other, stepped into a very supportive, close container, had to be quiet so that we could actually listen to the land, not scare away the animals. Listen to what actually wanted to be hunted right now. And part of it right now is letting go of, okay, I'm in a place right now where there's a lot of, geoengineering, pollution, EMF, magnetic declination, challenges, stress, fear, worry, anxiety, shame. How do I be here without having to be a hermit? How do I be here without judging everyone else? How do I be here and live my life as fully as I can here? Because there's a benefit to being here. We're close to a lot of our community. We're close to family. We're close to a different kind of experimentation. And where do we go next? I still believe Southern Big Island, Puna District for the winter. And it's not all paradise, sunshine, and rainbows there. And how do I make it paradise, sunshine, and rainbows while I am there? So thank you for listening to this. Thank you for exploring breath work with me. The conscious connected breath. It's pulling it in through the diaphragm, rising the chest. Use the inhale force. Relaxation, the exhale, just letting it go, and connecting the breath at the top and the bottom so that the pause isn't there. And usually it's turning in a little bit sooner than I think, because that relaxation, once it's done letting go of the breath, it's bringing it right back in. And in that sense, when I do this, it brings me back to present moment awareness. It helps me pull in more of that prana, that chi, that energy, that life force. It helps me create space so I can feel what there is to feel. And when I do it this way at around that pace, in about an hour, I'm going to breathe about 1,000 active breaths through an open, relaxed mouth, which allows so much more movement transition. And in the end, most of the time in my life, I breathe through my nose, even when I'm exercising, running, doing things, because that's where most of our work is to be done. The resistance is there, the warming of the air is there, the connection is there. It's only when I'm doing the active breath and I'm wanting to that I breathe through the mouth. And I really want to remind people of that, because otherwise they think, oh, am I supposed to breathe through the mouth more? No. And then the caution is, if you're actively pregnant or have such severe heart-lung disease that you're seeing your doctor for and it's something that's really actively being managed, please find a facilitator. Do it either in person or you can do it online with the HANA breath. I feel comfortable with those participants because I remind you, this is a self-guided journey. You're listening to your body. You're not trying to open up that cervix, especially if you're pregnant, but just being in the energetic field. I've had a lot of pregnant people come through. I've had a lot of people with major injuries come through, and just breathing gently through the nose, they feel such resonance, such connection, such energy still, because they're in the presence of all these others. And I remind them, let the others do the heavy lifting for you. You're in a place now where you get to be held by community. Like, what does it take to raise a child? A village. How do we have the village, the Ohana, guide together? And how do I step more into the excitement of the breath, both receiving it and both delivering it, guiding it? And how do I support other people who are stepping into their guiding truth to be able to do more of that in a safer container? So I'm going to plant that last seed, that I love having people who have not had as much experience leading being able to be guides with me during especially the live sessions, because then they get to play. And it is all about play. And it's all about safety, and it's all about sovereignty. But without that play, we're trying to find a rigid way of emulating someone else, which always means that we're going to be a hollower shell, as opposed to our own divine nature and finding our own tools, remembering our own tools, remembering our own lineage. All right. Welcome to health, wealth, family, freedom. Enjoy the flow. Ciao for now.